Hello, everybody. We are talking One Shopping Cart, and we are already on our Module 7. Today's kind of a hodgepodge of a lot of different things that you're going to be learning, and we'll also start talking about the storefront if we have time. So there are a couple of loose ends I wanted to tie up as far as learning all the different bells and whistles that are in One Shopping Cart. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to get in and play in the sandbox. I can't tell you how important that is, especially with this tool, because there is so much to it. So with that said, let's look at our agenda for today. And excuse me, I have a stuffy nose, so if I quit talking all of a sudden and disappear, I'll be right back. Don't want to sneeze in your ear. So we'll take a moment, review housekeeping, review last module, module 6, and then today we're going to talk about setting up shipping and taxes, something called product offers and discounts. And then we'll take a quick look at the bounce manager. It's something that's pretty easy to figure out, but I thought I'd better show it to you because it's something you may need to clean up every so often. And then we'll start looking at the storefront. And then just depending on how much time, we will continue the storefront next week along with affiliate management. And then we'll do our homework and have a Q&A. So as always, I am in the process of creating lots of documents, so that's why your resource library doesn't look like much right now, but it will continue to fill out as I finish the documents. So by the end of the course, you will have a lot more goodies to download. I'm trying to give you one big document and then allow you to section it off into pieces depending on, depending on what you're going to be doing within the system. Some of you may do an entire implementation and also do maintenance. So I'm kind of trying to think of how to put the documents together in that realm. So look for more resources from me in the coming week or so, probably closer to the end of the course. As always, our Facebook group, thank you for your participation in there. Make sure you stop in. If you have questions, feel free to ask them there. Asking them in Facebook is always a great way to help others because they may not have thought of the question, or it might be something they may not have thought of before. It's just good to share the knowledge. As always, make sure you have time into the sandbox because it is important for you to really play to understand all the bells and whistles that are here. And as always, I'm here to help. You can send me an email at help@techymentorlabs.com. Debbie, with those documents in the self-study HTML, you refer to the HTML tips and tricks. Could you add that to our library? Oh, you know what? Thank you. HTML document. I'm writing that down. Yep. I think we're updating that document right now. We constantly update these documents, so I've written it down. I will definitely add that as well. So thank you for that reminder, Debbie. So for Module 6, what we looked at was just product setup. We kind of went through that again because that's one of the things you're going to do quite often, probably. I would say the majority of the things that you'll do in One Shopping Cart go around broadcast, autoresponders, and products. But we will look at the other bells and whistles that are there. We talked categories and coupons, showed you how to set those up, web forms, and then ad trackers. So we're going to dive in and we're going to talk about taxes and shipping. Now, a lot of people don't have either of these because of the products they sell. Remember, every business is going to be different. Depending on what you're selling, what kind of products and services you're selling, is taxes something that is required, and that's something that each business owner would need to find out for themselves, right? So they may come to you and go, well, do I need to pay taxes or do I need to charge taxes? And that's not something you can necessarily answer, right? Because if you're in the U.S. and they're in Canada, obviously different countries, different rules and regulations. So my point is to you, be careful about giving advice when it comes to taxes. Send them to their tax provider, their financial representative, their accountant, whomever they can, or even they can Google it to find out what they need to know. So just be aware of giving any kind of tax advice. And then from there, it's not very difficult to set it up. So the majority of the clients that I had with One Shopping Cart did not have taxes or shipping. There was just a couple, I think, out of all the dozens that I had over the years, I think maybe 2 or 3, that actually did charge taxes and also did shipping. So as I mentioned, be careful about giving any advice, and let's take a look at how easy it is to set up taxes. So from within Shopping Cart, we're going to go under Products, and we're going to click on Set Up Taxes. And you can see here that we've already got several that are set up because we were obviously playing. But you can see you have different countries. We have a country tax, and then we have a couple of province taxes. Then we have one for Maryland, and we have one for the state of Arizona. And then you can see the tax rate and whether or not it applies to shipping. So in other words, does your tax also apply to the shipping rate? In other words, are you charging above and beyond for that? And so these are just very simple ones. Well, we'll create a new one. So click on Create New. And there's really not a whole lot to it. You give it a label. So the label is something descriptive so you'll understand what the tax is for. So anytime you're labeling anything in one shopping cart, use descriptive names. And that way, if you win the lottery and run off and your client has to hire a new VA, they'll be able to understand what it is that they're looking at. So let's say for this, we're going to I'll just do another country. I'll just do USA. How's that? And you can be as descriptive as you want here. You obviously have the little eyes here. Okay. You can do sales tax, city, country. Obviously, it's the United States. And then state. Now, do you charge every state, or do you normally you usually only charge, at least that's what I've seen, is people who are in your home state. I'm talking US here, right? So if I'm in Arizona, so that means if somebody was to purchase something here in the state of Arizona, they'd have to pay a tax, versus if somebody bought this and they lived in Maryland or they lived in Oregon or wherever, they would not have to pay a tax. Okay, so label country, and again, you get these little guys here that you can look at. Do you want to charge country tax? Yes or no? And again, this is information that your client is going to have to provide for you. It's not something that you're going to know. And then obviously the rate of tax. Okay, so I'll just say 5.15. And does it apply to shipping? So in other words, do you want to calculate taxes including the shipping rate? For me, I'm going to say no. And save. Okay, and voila, there it is. USA. It's not difficult to do, right? And you can easily delete all these, so I'm going to delete this one. And yes, you can have different taxes set up for obviously different countries, different provinces, different states. It all depends on the products and services. So there is no straight answer for this one. It is really dependent upon the products and services, and also the location, maybe of the buyer and the client themselves. Okay. Now, when you set this up, obviously you have to realize when it comes to when it comes to taxes and shipping, they are directly related to the products. In other words, you can go in here and create all this stuff, but if you don't tell the products, okay, yeah, here's what you need to charge for tax, or yeah, here's what you need to charge for shipping, it's going to not charge it. And if your clients have to pay taxes because they've collected taxes and then they actually didn't collect taxes, well, of course, then there's a whole ball of wax you don't want to have to deal with. So you need to make sure that you go under your products and you manage your products. So let's just look at chocolate chip cookies. And under settings is where you would check tax. You charge a state tax, do you charge a country tax? Okay. And so what happens is that I've seen a lot of people, they go in and they set up the taxes and shipping, but they forget to tell the products that, yeah, I'm doing shipping or I'm doing taxes. And then you basically save it. Okay. So there's no real rocket science there. It's not difficult. And again, clients may have some things they charge taxes for and some they don't. So you have to make sure that that's something that you understand. What products are tied to what tax and so on and so forth. Right? Make sense? Again, not difficult, but there's really two parts to this. Okay, one, you have to set up the tax, and then two, you have to attach it to the product. And it's the same thing with shipping as well. So Debbie, so the system knows if an Arizona tax should be charged or not. Well, if they're in the state of Arizona, when they go to purchase, they have to put in their billing address, and at that point, it would put the two together. But if you're from, Oregon, and I only charge Arizona state, when you put in your billing address, then it knows not to charge tax. And it's based on the billing address, right? You're welcome. All right, so that's taxes. Let's talk shipping. Shipping is a little more involved. Okay, you have different ways that you can charge shipping in here. And you can see right now my current shipping configuration is real-time shipping. You can only choose one of these. You can't have multiples, right? Because every time I click on one of these, it's going to change. But these are the different ones that you have available within the system. You also have the shipping origin. Now, the shipping origin might be different, right? Because what if you have a fulfillment house? Okay? And what if your fulfillment house is in Maryland, but you're in Arizona, or vice versa? Okay? It's based on where it's coming from. So in other words, if, I have a fulfillment house in Maryland, then this information should really be the Maryland address because that's where it's shipping from. Does that make sense? Very important that you understand that difference. It's not, if you have it in your garage and you put it together and it ships from your home address, great. But if it's going from a fulfillment house, then you need to make sure that you set that up, okay? So that's the alternate shipping location, if you will. Excuse me. Try not to sneeze in your ear. One of the first things you need to do before you even set up any of these shipping options is you want to set up your ship to countries. You have to tell OneShopping where you're willing to ship to. I mean, some people won't ship outside the U.S. Some people maybe won't ship outside the continental North America, right? You have to determine where, or your client has to determine where are you shipping to. And maybe you'll ship everywhere. So you want to click on Set Up Ship to Countries. And you've got all these options here. Now look, these are all, I have them excluded. And you can see there's lots of countries in here. So basically you have your excluded and you have your included. Now your default country on checkout, which means it automatically defaults to either, Canada, UK, or United States in this instance. So my default would be the United States, because most of my clients come from the US. You would actually find that out from your client. If your client's in Canada, maybe most of your clients come from Canada or UK or whatever it might be. So these are the 3 countries that I will ship to. Now, if I want to ship to additional countries, I could basically come over here and you can just scroll through this. So let me find, let's say I'll go to Belize and you just move them over. Okay. So one of the questions you're going to have to ask your clients, obviously, is where are you willing to ship? Maybe I'll ship to China. Right? So you get the idea, right? I'm just simply moving it from the excluded list to the included list. And you can obviously move them all by using these bottom buttons, but you can scroll through here and I'll send to Virgin Islands of the US. Yeah, the all options are the bottom buttons, Debbie. These right here, the double arrows. Those are the all. But you also have to realize when it comes to shipping, there might be specific things that you have to do in order to ship to specific countries, right? So you choose a country like Azerbaijan, for instance. I mean, there may be, and I'm just guessing here, there may be some specific things you have to do in order to ship to that country. There might be hoops you have to jump through. So keep in mind, depending on what you're shipping, right? There may be things you have to go through to ship it. And so keep an open mind because your clients could sell perishable items, right? They could sell, obviously T-shirts or coffee mugs, but they could also sell, candles or anything like that. So you have to keep in mind that there are maybe some shipping regulations that you have to take into account. And I know this only because of previous clients. They basically wouldn't sell outside of the United States and Canada. And I think the UK were the 3 that they chose. And they chose that because it was just easier for their business. Does that make sense? Not to be discriminated against. It's just that was what's easiest for their business. And so that basically means what happens is somebody tries to purchase something that you have to ship and that's from your excluded countries list. Guess what? It won't go through because you won't send to that specific country. Now, if their billing address is in that if the billing address is in that country, but they ship it to a country that you include, then you're okay. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand that differentiation? Because some people get confused going, well, I am in that country, but I'm shipping somewhere else. And that's okay. But if you were to have it show up in shipping in an excluded country, it would not work. Okay. And you'll have to explain that to clients sometimes because they just don't get that. And they may also not understand why you wouldn't choose every single country. It again depends on what you are selling. So you may have to do some research for your clients to say, okay, well, you can send it to all of these countries, but these countries, you have to fill out all these forms in order for you to ship it to them, so on and so forth. Okay. All right. So that's your countries. And then down here, you have your states, your provinces, and your territories. Okay. Now I only have one that's excluded from this list, but you can see I can scroll through here. And this is also based on what you have up here on your countries list, right? So if I come through here and I don't want to ship to, I'm looking for something I don't want to ship to. Well, I'll just pick Georgia. No, that's my mother's name. She probably wouldn't she probably wouldn't appreciate that. So how about Indiana? And I would just move it over here, just showing you. Okay. And then again, to move it back. But if I don't want to exclude anybody, I can just push them all over and then save. So that's really the first thing that you need to do. You need to come in and you need to determine where are you going to ship to and set all that up. Easy peasy. And you can always change this at any time. Okay. And then make sure you save it. And I'm going to mute you for a second because I'm going to sneeze. I'll be right back. All right. Thank you. All right, let's go back to products. I can get to products over here on this hyperlink. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Anyways, I clicked on the wrong one. We are going to go back to shipping. Okay, so any questions on setup, ship to countries, or the shipping origin? The last one you have down here at the bottom. Again, remember, when you ship, you have to tie the shipping to the product because maybe not all product is physical. Maybe not all product, we have some digital products and you have physical products. Well, right now, if you were to go down here and it says update current products, use this option to update the shipping calculation field for all your products to either yes or no. Well, if I come down here and I say yes and I hit save, it means it marks every single product I have in my products categories to ship and charge accordingly. So I don't want to do that. I can say no. Or I can say no change, which means you go in and you change the individual one. So be careful of doing a sweeping change because you might actually flip a switch on something that's a digital product and you wouldn't charge shipping for it, right? Okay, so those are those three options. And then up here, you've got these different options for your shipping configuration. You can do weight-based. So let's say you only ship one physical product, just one, and it's coffee mugs, and they all weigh the same. You could do weight-based, right? Or you could just say, you know what, it's easier just to charge a flat rate. So every time you buy something, I charge you $8 to ship it, right? And sometimes it's less than that, sometimes it's more, but it all works itself out in the wash. Real-time calculation. I'm an eBay queen. I love eBay. And I constantly buy stuff on there. And they have that real-time shipping calculation. I'm sure you've seen this, is if you type in your zip codes, it tells you how much it's going to cost you to ship it. That's real-time calculation. Now that one takes a lot more features to kind of put together because it has to automatically calculate it as they type in their information. Order-based, which is based on the orders that go out. Quantity-based, so the number of orders versus the number of a specific item, or product-specific shipping and handling. So that's just for specific products. So you have all of these different ones. So again, the first question you're going to ask to your clients are, well, what kind of shipping do you want to do? And some clients are like, I don't know. And really the easiest are either weight-based or flat rate, in my opinion. I mean, there's less to it, it's easy, but you could certainly go through all of these other options. And there is a wizard, so I can click on weight-based, for instance. Pretty easy. Minimum total for free shipping. So if you are going to include free shipping, right, what's the minimum? And you see this a lot of times. If you buy more than $50, they'll send it to you for free, right? And maybe you say, okay, well, if you buy more than, $25, whatever that number is, put it in here. What unit of measure are you using? Okay, pound, kilos, or ounces. Okay, I'll say pound. Okay, and this is a wizard, so it just flips to the next page. Okay, and then from here, use this form to set up shipping methods. I have Federal Express, I have UPS, and then I basically have a price here. And what you'd have to do is obviously find out from these carriers what their pricing is. So when it comes to setting up shipping, there's a lot you have to figure out. Okay, which method are you going to use? And then which carriers are you going to use? I mean, some people only use the post office. Some people use UPS. Some people will use FedEx, whatever it might be. And then in this instance, notice that I have two, FedEx and that's actually United States Postal Service. The base price, the price per pound, the minimum shipping price, and then which one's the default. In other words, it will automatically default to send by the United States Postal Service, unless I choose, I could choose FedEx. And then if I want to create a new shipping method, I would come down here and do UPS and the base price. Again, maybe it's cheaper, price per pound, and then the minimum is, $12. And add. And then again, I could choose the default. So since that's the least expensive, I'll choose that and choose save. So can you see when it comes to shipping, you're going to have to do your homework, your due diligence, or at least your client is, in order for you to set this up. Luckily, as I said, most clients don't do shipping. Most clients, at least in my experience, they were all digital, right? They all were online based, so they did coaching or something like that. There's nothing they actually sold that would be delivered and shipped. Okay. Okay, so that's that one. And this one doesn't have a shortcut to get back, so I have to go back to the menu here. So that's weight-based, okay? And notice it says right here, your current shipping configuration is weight-based. Remember, you can only choose one of these. So every time I choose one of these, it's going to change. And it says 4 products have product-specific shipping amounts. Remember, you set up shipping, and then you have to let the products know which ones are affected by that. All right, so flat rate. Minimum for for free shipping, $25. I can change that anytime. These are wizards. Next, same thing. I have United States Postal Service and Federal Express. I can add UPS and the shipping. Remember, this is flat rate, right? Let's say right now for this, and this all hinges around, remember, because there's so many moving parts to this, hinges also around what country are you sending to. If you're staying within the United States, maybe the Postal Service is the cheapest, but if you're going outside the U.S., remember, I'm U.S. based, if you're going to Canada or you're going to the U.K., the pricing may differ. So I choose a default and go from there. Okay, so that is flat rate. And I'm just going back to that. So you can see now it says it's flat rate shipping. Real time. Now this one takes a lot more bells and whistles to set up. Debbie, don't those fees also relate to distance zip code? That's what I'm saying. You're going to have to, I'm just plugging in numbers here. You're going to have to find out from Federal Express, from UPS, all of those things. I mean, like here in the US, I think UPS and FedEx both have flat rate, and you can certainly find that out. But you're going to have to go to those carriers to figure out what those pricing points are. Right? I am just giving you how to set it up in here. I'm also telling you you're going to have to do the due diligence outside of here, either yourself or your client, to find out how much that's going to cost. Does that make sense? Yeah, so you are going to have to figure out country, location, all of that. How do you set up rates for more than one country? Well, when we look at the products and we start, we'd have to set up, hold on, I'm thinking about taxes. Well, you have to choose one type of shipping option, Mary. You can't choose multiple, so you have to set up one. And it does depend on the country. So what you'd have to do is you would have, like I have UPS, FedEx, and USP. I could have FedEx, 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 and they're all for different countries. So the long answer, I should say the short answer, is you would set them up just like I'm doing here, but you would have to go and contact FedEx or UPS or whoever to get those prices. Debbie, so if it is also zip code, where would you put it in where would you put in info? Only on the real-time shipping, right? Because what it's going to do is when they purchase the item and they put in their zip code, that's going to trigger the shipping. Right? And we haven't gotten to that point yet, so you're going to have to wait on that, Debbie. All we're doing is setting it up here. When we get over to the product side, then you're going to see that. Okay? So you're only seeing the setup here. You're not seeing the other side of the issue is when you go in, or not issue, the other side of the setup is when you go in to do it on the product side. That's when you're going to see that piece, okay? So hold that question. And so, Mary, does that make sense what I was trying to tell you? Sorry. I got a little fuzzy brain going. Yes. Okay, good. Good. Yeah. In my opinion, the way that the shopping cart, well, it's better than it used to be. The way they do shipping is not really clear. It's not very easy. It's much better than it used to be. But the thing that I get is that you can only have one type of shipping option. There are other tools out there that let you have multiple, so you can pick which one you want. This one's a little more rigid, if you will. Okay, so this one is the real-time calculation, right? So you have the flat rate and you have weight, okay? So the ones that we've looked at were flat rate, which means it doesn't matter where you send it or how much it weighs, it's a flat rate amount. The other one was weight, by weight, which means you have to know the weight of your items in order to charge, okay? So it's not based on location, it's based on either flat rate or weight. Make sense? Now we're going to do the real time, which means it depends on where it's going. All these different ways that you want to ship. Okay, so just so we understand, let me back up here real quick, just so we have a nice little recap. So weight-based is based on weight, right? It's going to charge an amount based on the weight of the actual item. Flat rate doesn't matter how much it weighs, it's going to cost the same amount. Real-time calculation, okay? Real-time calculation means it calculates based on several options. One is the dimensions of the product, okay? And then so it says here, by default, all products have a minimum length of 1 by 1 by 1 to ensure they receive the correct rates by a shipping carrier. You can set other ones if you want. I just did 12 by 12 by 12, right? Again, what are you shipping? So it all comes back to what your clients are shipping, depends on what you're going to put in here. So let me do 6 by 6 by 6, okay? And then down here, use default carrier account. So I'm just going to hit next. Now notice I only have 3 or 4 options. I have Canada, the United States Postal Service, UPS, and FedEx. That's it. Those are the options that you get here. Hold on, I got to sneeze again. Nope, false alarm. Sorry. Catherine, how long will the sandbox be available? I will give it to you for an extra couple weeks if you need it, at least until the next class starts. So I don't have that one on my calendar yet, but it will be coming up in October. So as long as you're done with it before the next class starts, that's fine. So you'll have at least 3 weeks because we got another 2 weeks of this class. Okay? You're welcome. Yeah, and I know I keep harping on that fact, but use the sandbox while you have the time, right? Use the sandbox while you have the time. So yeah, you have at least another 3 weeks. And then I'll change the password. All right, so back to shipping. I only have these 4 carriers, so I say, okay, which carrier? Remember, you can choose multiple carriers, but I'll say, okay, you know what, I'm going to go with Federal Express. Excuse me, I'll hit save, next step. Okay, now you have a bunch of questions to answer based on what you chose. So I chose UPS. Look at all these options. Do I want to do standard ground, next day air, next day early AM, blah, blah. You get the idea, right? Because you have all these different things. And you're like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to do standard, ground, and next day, and I'm not going to do anything else. And remember, these options that you see here are based on the carrier that you select, right? How's that? Oh, and maybe I'll do Worldwide Express, okay, and then save. Okay, so those are the only options I offer for shipping. Next. Okay, again, you have to get this information directly from the carriers. So I'm UPS, my base price, my price per pound, and my minimum shipping rate. Okay, so these are just numbers, guys. These are not numbers I actually got from UPS. These are just numbers that I typed in. So you need to make sure that when you're doing any kind of shipping, you have to get the rates directly from the carriers. Right, and then of course I could add another method if I wanted. Right now I'm only doing UPS, okay? I wish they had a shortcut to get back there. All right, so now you can see it's real-time shipping calculation. There is another option here, set up personal carrier account. Now this one takes a lot more to do. Now I don't actually have a personal carrier account, so I can't go all the way through this, but notice that now I also have the ability to go to DHL, which I did not before. But basically what this is if your client has an account with Federal Express, some business owners that ship a lot have an account with any one of these different shipping carriers. They may have one with DHL or UPS or FedEx, right? And so they have an account number, they have all of those things. So basically this is to integrate your shipping account with the actual FedEx system or the actual UPS system, okay? Please ensure you have a specified weight, all this kind of stuff, because this is more real time. And basically what you have to do, let me move this over here, is this is for FedEx, and I can click on the tabs here at the top to move over to like DHL. So let's say DHL. You would basically activate it, but you have to put in your account number. So this information here, guys, this is something you have to get from your client. You'd have to get the account number, the system ID number. How do they handle it? What's the password? Do you have a shipping key? And if you have a handling amount, and then I'd have more information here. And the nice thing about this is it tells you exactly what you need to do. Well, you have to click here and register for your account at DHL's website, okay? Then you have to fill out all this information. Now realize each one of these is going to be different. So if I go back here to FedEx, notice I have a lot more information on FedEx, okay? My account number, my meter number, if I have one, if there's a handling amount, all of my information here. Again, more information is going to tell me exactly what I need to do to fill it out. So if your client has a specific account with a specific vendor in this instance, you're going to want to set up the personal carrier. And then when you get to that point, you can just hit more info, and this will tell you exactly what you need to do because you have to connect with an API. And that's why I'm not doing this, because I don't have an account to show you. But basically, you would connect the two, and it would come directly from their account. Excuse me. Silly. So this is the client I am setting up with. Silly question. No, it's not a silly question, Mary. There's so much going on here, right, when it comes to shipping. To me, this is one of the more complex things that you would have to do. So it's not a silly question at all. So if you're doing this, yeah, you have to get your client's information from them. So if they have a personal account with DHL or a personal account with UPS or a personal account with FedEx, you need these details. So what I would say is you would come in here and click on UPS to find out exactly what you needed to know. Like I need an XML access key here in order to set this up. Does that make sense? Debbie, so how do you package setting up these shipping charges if you have to do all the research? You would add that into your package. So you would have a package that is specifically maybe for setting up shipping and taxes or things like that take more research, and you would charge more for it. So I had just a typical implementation, right? And like I said, most of my clients didn't do shipping, but I had one that included shipping, and it was more money because I had to do the research, and I did have to do all this setup. I gotcha. Does that make sense, Debbie? And I think the best piece of advice is what you'll do is you'll probably set up a couple of packages, right? And then you'll do them once and you go, wow, that took longer than I thought. So the next time you do it, you change the price. That's what I did, honestly, because you might do one and go, wow, I didn't realize it was going to take me that long. So the first person gets a great deal, but then after that, you raise your rates. Okay, and I got to sneeze, so I'll be right back again. Sorry about that, guys. Back. All right, so does everybody understand what I'm talking about when I say personal carrier account? That means they actually have an account. And then you would fill in this information and you would hit next step and you would go from there, okay? Now, I can't go any further because I didn't fill in any of the information. But the nice thing in this section is if you click that more info, it will tell you exactly what you have to do for that individual carrier. Okay? All right, back to shipping. So now we've done weight-based, right? Strictly weight, flat rate, doesn't matter how big it is or not necessarily how big it is, but how much it weighs, right? It's going to be the same. Real time. You got order-based. Okay, so here's our order base. And basically, again, I have UPS or USPS, which is United States Postal Service. If they order between 1 cent and $50, it's $5. So this is basically, depending on how much money, if you will, they are spending with me, how much they will save on their shipping. So notice right down here, I have 0 to $49.99, and then this one starts at 50 and goes to 75, and then the next one down here automatically starts at that 75.01. Now I could come up here and I could, delete that one. And so now notice the total is 50. It's a cent more than this one up here. So let's say for that amount, you get $10. And then I'm going to add a new one. And for $50 to $99.99, they will only get, I don't know, $5, right? So in other words, the more you buy from me, the less expensive the shipping is. That's what that one does. Now I put USPS. You could put anything that you want here. I was just putting that because that's the carrier. Does that make sense? So this one is based on how much they spend, depends on how much they charge for shipping. Similar to what you see if you buy things on Amazon. If you spend more than $50, you usually get the free shipping. It's the same idea here. It's called a shipping table. Excuse me. Is your head spinning yet? So that's order-based. Quantity-based. Okay, again, minimum amount. Okay. Note, quantity-based shipping requires products have a weight or an item account. So this one's a little different. This means the product has to have a weight associated with it, which means you have to go to the product and set it up. Same thing, base price, minimum shipping price. So it's $12 plus 5 additional, base price is $12 per price per item, I can't talk, and minimum price would be $25. So for this, I would actually have to go to a product, and let's do, makes me hungry, chocolate covered cherries. I'm thinking $5 is way too expensive, so we're going to make it $25. This is under the settings, okay? Here you notice it says charge shipping, handling fee, but I have to have a weight, so I have to know how much the box weighs, right? So let's say, I don't know, what is 2.5 is how much it weighs. So when you're doing this type of shipping, you have to come in and you have to make sure that you have that information. Remember, only choose one type of shipping option. You can't have multiple shipping options. It's one for every product that you ship. Does that make sense? And then the last one, product specific. That is basically, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Label, shipping. This is basically the same thing as doing this option down here. I don't know why they haven't taken that out, but that's basically what it is. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to, I'm going to choose flat rate. Okay, and my flat rate, let's say $24.99 they have to spend, and then they will spend this much. Okay, so now when I go back and look at my shipping, I wish they had a back button. I have flat rate shipping, and I have 4 products that are also talking to this shipping. Okay, so step number 1 is obviously you have to go through, and I went through all of those just so you could understand what they all did, but your client has to choose a shipping method. And they may come to you and go, Debbie, I don't have any idea. What would you recommend? Okay. I always recommended my clients either weight or flat. That's what I did because it's just simple. Or I would do flat or order-based. I liked flat because you know what? It's the same amount every time, especially if you don't ship to a lot of different places. If you only ship within maybe the U.S. or maybe Canada or wherever it might be. But for me, it was usually either flat in order or flat in weight. So if they come to you asking, it's, look at their business. If they come and say, okay, Delane, I don't know which one to choose. So Delane could go back and say, well, what are we shipping? What are we shipping? How much does it weigh? How big is it? And that will kind of lead you to what you think is the best option here. So you may have to, help your client decide what works best for them because they can only choose one, right? All right, so now let's go over and take a look at our products here. All right, so back to products. Remember, we have to set up the shipping, we have to set up the taxes, and then we need to come to here. So I've got a couple things that I can actually charge. So I have 2 different types of chocolate truffles. I've never even had a chocolate truffle. Let's say this one has nuts. I'll make them look different. And under the settings menu is where you're going to find your shipping. Now notice there's not a check here that says this is going to be shipped, but it does say to charge tax. Now you can just remove these and I could charge shipping. Okay, so I could put in my weight. I don't remember which one I selected, but I can say this with, well, what is this? Truffles? Let's say it's 5 pounds of truffles. There's no handling fee, and I'll just put that in real quick. Now, okay, so you see what I did? I said charge shipping. I said it's 5 pounds, which remember, you have to remember if it's ounces or pounds or kilos because you set that as part of the setup, right? So you have to remember what 5 means. Is it 5 ounces or 5 pounds? I mean, there's a big difference in price. Is there a handling fee? And then there's the length of the box. Now, when I go to links, I can hit test. Okay, so now I have chocolate chip cookies, $7, and I have chocolate truffles with nuts, and I have one for $7 and one for $9, right? Here's my title. Do you see this? And it says here what? Before shipping and taxes. So right now, if I was to purchase this, it would cost me $16.99. I go to checkout. Notice what I have here. My shipping. Okay, my shipping is $14.50. Now I would come in here. That's expensive. And I would fill in my billing information. And there's my shipping. Now look, I can choose different shipping methods because I have 3. I have 14, 25 because of the type I chose. So they can choose whichever one works for them. And you would fill it out. So this is the other side of this equation. This is where you see this come into play. Notice now it's only $14. I'm sorry, I chose flat rate. That's how I remember. Versus $14.50. Does that make sense? So do you see how the two work together? And this is how you can test it. And you are going to want to test it to make sure that it actually is working correctly. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Excuse me. Yeah, my nose just all of a sudden gotten really stuffy. So you would have to now go in and update the products accordingly. It does only have one type of shipping method. It's flat rate, but I have 3 different options for you to ship flat rate. One could be FedEx, one could be UPS, or one could be USPS. So Debbie, it is just one type. It is just one type of shipping method. It is flat rate. And with my flat rate, I've given you 3 different options to choose from. You can either choose UPS, which costs us $14.50, or you can choose FedEx, or you can choose it's just one type, but 3 different pricing. Because they may not have, maybe the default is United States Postal Service, but what if you're not in the United States? So they'd have to choose FedEx or UPS. Does that make sense? Yeah. So still one type, but just 3 different choices or 3 different totals depending on their location. And that isn't the norm. I was just trying to show you that you could do different ones. Does that make sense? Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you. All right, let's take a look at another one. So I have chocolate truffles with nuts. Oh, let's see what this one does, this truffles. Okay, so this one is only 1 pound, right? So, and remember, you have to realize what type of unit of measure are you working with, and that is again something you have to choose. I can't remember where I choose that. Oh, it's within the individual. Hold on, jump back. So that one I've already done. What about chocolate chip? I already have chocolate truffles, chocolate covered cherries. And that one is okay. So like this one has a shipping and handling fee. The other ones did not. So that would come through. And then obviously from here, anything that would be digitally delivered, notice it doesn't have shipping or taxes on it. So you're going to have to make sure that's how that works. And if you use inventory, remember you're going to have to make sure that your inventory is filled in. And that again is for physical products, not necessarily for anything that is delivered digitally. Okay. So with that, excuse me. Here are the different types of shipping: weight-based, flat rate, real-time, order-based, quantity-based, and then product-specific. Really make sure you set up your ship to countries so you know where you're shipping to, and make sure you update the products to add the shipping options. Only one option, again, one shipping option. And it really does depend on what your client's looking for, and they may come to you for advice on that. And then you'll need to do kind of your research, if you will, to figure that out. Okay, so any questions on taxes or shipping before we start on product offers? Okay, so what's a product offer? A product offer is a way that you can bundle things together to offer like products. So this is really some stuff for me. Let's say if I wanted to bundle together a bunch of training classes that were related, I could price them lower instead of buying them individually, right? If you wanted to buy 3 classes from me, I could say, okay, if you buy all 3, I'll give you a discount. And so that's what we're talking about here. Not something that every client uses, but it is a cool little feature. And it is under product offers, so product offers. And you can see I have several here. I have Kickstart Your VA Life bundle, some of these different ones. I have training bundles. So I'll just jump into this training bundle here and kind of go through this. So basically when you do bundles, is what you're doing is you're taking individual products and you're bundling them up. So in other words, the individual products have to be created. So these products have to be existing already, and then you bundle them together. And you actually have a different link than you do, because remember, it's not taking the individual product, it's linking them all together. So if you were to test this, test just brings this up. Now, let me clear this cart because I got all kinds of stuff in here. And let me go back and test it again. Do you see I have a training bundle, right? And the training bundle, oops, I actually didn't add it twice. The training bundle includes 3 courses. Do you see that? Sales and landing pages, shopping cart, basics, and advanced for $297. So when I select the bundle, I get all 3 of these for one flat rate. This is really great when you have like products and you want to put them together to sell as a bundle. So this is if you want to think, I'm laughing because I think of bundling. I think of, what is that? Is that, it's not Geico, it's the other insurance company that has Flow. They talk about bundling, and so it's basically the same thing. You're going to bundle a lot of like things together to save money. So we're going to create one real quick. So let me go back to my, they have a shortcut to products, but not to anything else. Yeah, Progressive. Thank you, Debbie. It was right on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, you know, I can just see Flo talking. It's the same idea, okay? So here we got the bottom. Create a new offer for your store. Remember, we have a storefront here. So let's say that I want to do a chocolate lovers. Chocolate. Nope, that's not how you spell chocolate, right? Chocolate lovers bundle, because we have all those chocolate things, right? Okay, and we have a standard or advanced, and we'll go through these 2, okay? So let's just do a standard, and I can hit create. Okay, so here I get an automatic link for this. I get the name, and here, this section right here is if you want to add any HTML that will show up at the top and the bottom of the cart contents and the checkout. So there's 2 different windows. There's the cart contents, or the contents of the shopping cart, and then there's the checkout window, okay? So if you wanted to add any additional HTML, whether it was things like, you know, here, I'll just put something in here. There's my little HTML. So you could add information here. Require a primary product means you have to have at least one product in the bundle. You can't remove it, okay? With different types of bundles that you create, you can actually allow clients to remove something that they don't want. But if you want to keep the bundle as a whole, you have to require what's called a primary product, and they can't remove that product, because if they remove the product, the bundle isn't worth what you're asking for it. So I can choose, that's obviously just a check mark. You can say yes or no. I'm going to save this. And then this whole section down here is what products make up your bundle. Okay, so what I've done so far is give my bundle a name. I added a couple of HTML things. I said I needed a required product. You can search for products up here, but I don't have that many. So I can see, okay, I want to add, I have chocolate cookies, chocolate covered cherries, truffles, and truffles with nuts. So I have 4 different things that come up with chocolate. Now notice here it says initial quantity. So in other words, when you buy my product, how many of each are you going to get? Well, I'm just going to say 1 chocolate cookie. So I'll add that. And see how it puts it up here at the top, right? And then I could come down here and say you're going to get 1 chocolate covered cherries, but I'm actually going to be nice. I'm going to give you 2 chocolate truffles. Where's my other chocolate? And then 1, there we go. Okay. Notice I could change the quantities. And then it's saying, well, which one's the primary product? I'm going to say, in this instance, it's the chocolate truffles. And I can add more. You can change the quantity and you can remove them. Okay. So let me save it. This is really pretty easy to do. Now, when I test it, okay, and we still had this in here from earlier, so let me pull that down. Mary, if I'm in for those, the 5-pound truffles. Yeah, that's a big box of truffles, isn't it? Okay, so here's what you see. Notice that this one says, okay, here's what you have. I'm going to give you 2 boxes of truffles, 1 box of cookies, 1 box of chocolate covered raisins, and 1 with nuts. Okay, notice how I have the ability here to change the quantity of any of these, right? So I can say, you know what, I really like those chocolate covered cherries. So I'll add a 2. Okay, and then I can recalculate. Now look, I have, okay, you with me? Everybody with me? Now I can go in and say, okay, well, what if you're not really I'm like, you know what, I don't really like chocolate cookies, so I can remove that. So you see how with this type of bundle, I can pick and choose. I can change the quantity, I can remove one that I don't want, but it still bundles it all together for me because it's related product. Okay. And then if I could say, okay, which one did I make? This one? See how I say I can't remove this product. If I remove this product, it will remove all the remaining products because it's the primary product. So I can't get rid of this one. In other words, I have to buy this one, but I could get rid of all these others and just stick with the chocolate truffles. Does that make sense? So that is the standard type of bundle. The standard bundle, what that allows you to do is allow your client or your customer to pick and choose, right? They can update the quantity, they can remove ones they don't want, so on and so forth. But they can't remove the primary one because then it will remove everything in the cart. Okay? All right, so that's that type of bundle. Lisa, could you change the quantity on the require product? Yeah. So I could go in here. Sorry. So I started over again, right? Now I have 2 of them because, get rid of one of those. There we go. So I could come in here and say I want 4 of those, and I recalculate, right? But I couldn't, yeah, it will let me. Okay, so I could go down to 1. So you see how I did that? So I can easily change the quantity. So as long as I have the quantity box, I'm allowed to make those changes. So if they don't want 2, which is what I tried to give them, they could change that, and then they could still get rid of the chocolate covered cherries. They don't want those. Okay. So the difference is that the standard lets your clients, or the purchaser, if you will, make choices. Make choices. You're welcome. And you can add as many of these products as you want. Okay. All right, so that product offers. Now let's create another one. So I did chocolate. Okay, hold on. I just need to jump over to the store and see if I can find other things that are similar. What else? Oh, let's do an ebook one. There we go. So I'm going to call this ebook bundle. Excuse me. And I'll say advanced, create, so you can see the difference. Same thing. Okay, ebook bundle, price. Now this prices them all together. This is one bundle. In other words, this is going to take away the ability for the clients to pick and choose. You're going to dictate exactly what it is that they're going to get with an advanced bundle. So I can say the price for my advanced bundle. For all of my ebooks, it's $49.99. If there's a SKU, remember SKUs come if you have a physical product that you're shipping from somewhere. Same thing with your HTML. Does this include taxes? This one has the option to do taxes, yes or no. And I can say, yeah, let's do a state tax. Now, this one, when they purchase the whole thing, you notice you have more options here. I can actually redirect them to a thank you page. Right? You also have affiliate options, which we're going to come back and talk about affiliates on our next class. But is this part of the affiliate program? In other words, is this something that affiliates can sell and get money back on? Is it which one of these three? You can have multiple affiliate programs. You know, does it calculate commissions? Is there additional tiers? I'm going to save this little guy as I go. And then same thing, what is actually involved? What products actually make that up? So you can see here, there's an ebook. There's an ebook. There's another ebook. See, I think I have more. Oh, there's one. Foggy Images ebook. Okay, you get the idea. So I put in several ebooks. Oh, there's one more. You got lots of ebooks. And then save. Oops, where's the save button? There it is. Okay, so with an advanced bundle, you dictate the price, you dictate the quantity. You also have the ability to tax, redirect them to a thank you page, have it be part of your affiliate program. So those are the big ones. And then let's test this one. Now I'm going to clear this again just because I had all this stuff in there from before. And test it. Okay, so you can see here, one quantity. Notice I only have the ability to change this. And the bundle is all of these items. So if I change this to 2, okay, I get 2 of all of these items. Come on, it's not recalculating fast enough for me. Okay, now I have $100 instead of 1. So I get 2 ebooks, each one of these items. So I'm taking away for them to be able to remove any products. In other words, the ebook bundle is what it is. You're going to get these items if you purchase the bundle. And that's why you have the plus sign here. Okay. And again, before taxes and shipping. So if I said that I was going to charge taxes or shipping when I checked out, then you would see that additional price, which I didn't do. Make sense? Is there a way to pull up products by their tags so you don't forget something? What do you mean by tags? You mean their ID number? So yeah, you can search for products on here if you have ID number, if they're in a specific category. So I could search for, ebooks in a category, which would be the best things to do. And you can see I forgot several of them, so I could come in here and add these, right? So yes, that's why categories are so relevant, because that's exactly what you'd want to do, is you'd want to make sure they're all in the right category. So you can see I missed quite a few of them. I'm thinking that's way too inexpensive for all those ebooks. I'm going to change my price. There we go. Does that answer your question? Hopefully. Yep. Okay. Yep. You got it. And then take another look. You could see this is the old one, but it's still there. I'm going to remove it. Here's this one right here. This is a quantity of 2, and now the price has gone up. And I have all these other books in there. So it's a great feature to know. A lot of people and One Shopping Cart use it because they don't realize what it does for them. But if you have clients that have like products and they want to do a sale, right? Let's say you want to sell all your ebooks, or you want to sell all your forms, or you want to sell all your WordPress classes, or whatever it might be, bundling is a great way for you to do that. So there's 2 options. Remember, there's standard and there's advanced. Advanced gives you more options like affiliates and taxes. And they can't remove any pieces of the bundle. They have to keep the whole thing. Okay, so we talked about that. When you set up an advanced, you don't have a primary product because they can't remove anything, right? It's only with the other one. So now we're going to talk order discounts. Okay, so we talked bundling. Now let's talk about if somebody buys large quantities of things from you, and this is usually more for physical products, right? So if somebody buys a bunch of t-shirts from you, they're going to get a discount the more that they purchase. And that's what this one is. It's called an order discount. Similar to what we looked at when we were looking at shipping, it's along the same line. Excuse me. So basically you have the lower limit. The lower limit is always a cent. They have to buy something from you in order for this to work. Excuse me. So what is the lower limit, and then what's the next limit? So basically what you're doing is you're creating a table of of pricing. So let's say if you spend between $1 and $49.99 with me, right, you'll get a specific amount off. You'll get either a dollar amount off or you'll get a percentage off. So let's just say you'll save 5%. Okay, now look here. From 1 cent to $49.99, you get 5% off. And then the next one, look where it starts. It starts at 50. It automatically follows. So this is a table. So I could say $99.99. You get 10% off. And all I'm doing, this is just for clients who buy in bulk. So you're basically giving them a discount the more they buy. This is not something that most people who have a digital store use because you have digital items. This is more for products, and at least for me, in my experience, I use this for physical products, not so much digital ones. So again, now here's my $99.99. So I could say, okay, $149.99. I could say if you spend that much, then you're going to get 15% off, and I would just keep going, right? And then $150 to $199.99. Oops, sorry, wrong spot. You're going to get 20% off. You could do dollar amount or you could do percentage. I just did dollar or percentage. Okay? And then you can edit these however you want to. So basically, if somebody buys $50 from me, they're going to get 5% off. If they buy 100, they get 10. If they buy more than that, 15, 20, and so on. Great little way to give discounts. So once again, if I'll go into my cart here, let's find something that's expensive. Oh, let's do this chocolate covered cherries. Now I didn't clear my cart. Okay. You can see I already got a discount automatically of $1.25. You see how that popped up automatically? They don't have to do anything. So I spent 25 bucks. So if I want 4 of these, look at the discounts automatically built in. How cool is that? They automatically get it, and you're like, hey, cool, look, I got a, it's not $100, it's $85 because I spent all this money. Like, okay, you know what? I want 10 boxes of chocolate covered cherries. The holidays are coming up. Now I say 50 bucks. Great thing for you to do, for clients to do for people who buy in bulk. Can discounts be tied into a given secret code like your current student offers? That's a coupon. Right, that's a coupon. In other words, people who actually have the coupon code could type it in. Yeah. So this isn't something that's secret. This is something that you give to people who buy in bulk. So this is, like I said, this is usually for people who sell large quantities of physical products. They automatically give them a discount. So coupons are usually used for people for, in my instance, they're for returning customers, but they're also, they could be specials and things like that. And then you would type that coupon code here, Debbie, and hit apply. That's all right. Good question. Because they are related. One is automatic, but the other one, you give out the code as you want it to be needed, right? Okay. So that's what that does. Those are kind of a fun little feature. So that's order discounts. You have a lower limit, a maximum amount, and then your discount and the type. Okay. As I said, today's kind of a little hodgepodge of everything. Now let's talk Bounce Manager. This is pretty easy, but this is something you'll need to check under email and marketing, Bounce Manager. Now this isn't very big, but you can see that I have 3 bounced email addresses. And the bigger the database, the more bounces you'll have. And this is something that you probably want to clean up, again, depending on the number of contacts in the database. You might want to clean this up once a quarter. Excuse me, I used to clean this up once a quarter for a client. And up here at the top, you'll see that it tells you what the bounce reason is, and you can see the reason down here. Unknown, soft, hard, spam, and technical. They can't really give you exact reasons. Mailbox is live, but temporarily inaccessible. It's full. Hard bounce. Hard bounce is usually a bad email address. Spam, it was returned for spam. Technical. Server busy, so that's kind of a broad. Really, the only one that you can probably hang your hat on is this one called hard bounce. So what I would do for clients that had any hard bounces, I would automatically go in and just delete the hard bounces out of the database because they would bounce every time. It doesn't really cause any issues, but it's your list isn't clean because you've got several bounces. So what I would do is I would come up here and I would go search for, hard bounce, and then I would search, and she had thousands of people in her database, and here they are. So I could look at them and say, okay, is it obvious? Is there a typo somewhere that's obvious? And that's why somebody isn't getting their email. Like for this one, I know this is not the right email address, right? But I already have that in here. So I would basically come in here, I would click on this email address and I would delete it. And it removes it because it's not a good email address. Neither is this one. I know this one's not a good one. And I delete it. Now you could update it, right? You could type in something new and hit update. And then next time you send something, like I'll just put KDD there and hit update. It'll update it, and then next time it'll try to send. Now that's going to bounce again because that's not a good email address. But this is something you do want to keep your eye on, and it's just kind of a nice little added feature. If you're managing somebody's shopping cart, you'll want to come in and check their bouncing. If they're having a lot of spam, you might want to check, your subject line is usually what keys the spam folder, but it also depends on your clients. If your clients are, if your clients, I should say, if they're targeting like large businesses or corporations, like one of my clients, she was a productivity coach, and a lot of her clients were in the corporate realm. She would have a tremendous amount of bounces due to spam, and there's really nothing we can do. And I tried to explain this to her, but a lot of large corporations have built-in firewalls and spam protection, and it doesn't even make it to somebody's inbox. It will get stopped the minute it comes in the virtual door, if you will, because it is in their spam protection and their firewalls to stop it. And there's no way around that. Obviously, like I said, I'm an IT gal. I used to work in IT support. So you have to realize that if that's the case, then there's really not, nothing wrong. I mean, my husband would send me an email, I remember this, and he would put hell in there, and it would never come to me because that's one of the words that was in our firewall to turn away those emails. So he would go, why didn't you get my email? I'm like, did you use a bad word? Did you use a word that's inappropriate? Because the firewall will just return it. And sure enough, so you have to realize that may be happening as well, depending on who your clients are targeting. Some of it might be returned because of any kind of language that's in there that the firewall says, you can't come through. Okay? So that's Bounce Manager. And really the big one here, I think, is the hard bounce. Right? You can sometimes look at them and you could tell like if it was supposed to be AOL.com, but they did OOL.com. I mean, you could certainly update the email address to see if it came through the next time. I would try that, but a lot of times it was just not a good email address, so I ended up having to remove it. And it just keeps your database clean and you don't have a bunch of bounces. So any questions on that? Because we're gonna take, what time is it? Let me see. Yeah, we'll take a few minutes and talk about the storefront here real quick. I'll stay in here. We're going to start talking on this topic today because there's so much to it. We're going to pick it up next week as well as the affiliate management piece as well. But when it comes to the storefront, the ability of the storefront in One Shopping Cart is for you to have a storefront that is separate than your website, right? And the benefit to having it separate from your website is if it's on your website and you constantly are changing your products and services and you're changing images and you're changing pricing, that's a lot of upkeep for someone to have to keep changing it on WordPress, right? Otherwise, what you could do is simply put a hyperlink as a menu option to your shopping cart, which will redirect them to the shopping cart that is hosted by One Shopping Cart. And it's dynamic. So as you go in and change things like your products and services and your cost and your images, it automatically updates that page. So the benefit to having a storefront is it takes over the overhead of having to upkeep not only One Shopping Cart, but then also information on maybe a WordPress site. Okay, so that's one of the big benefits. And when it comes to setting up a storefront, it's hosted on One Shopping Cart, right? So it's a hosted site. It's not the same URL as your URL for your website, but you can change it to look similar. But when it comes to this, there's lots of different settings. You have templates that you use to set up your storefront. So think about a theme for WordPress, same idea, but this is actually for your storefront. So you have a master template, which is the overall look and feel of the storefront. And then you have page templates based on the pages. So it's almost like a mini website because you can have specific pages. They can go to specific pages, like if they want to see products by categories, they want to see ebooks, and then they want to see coffee mugs, and then they want to see, candles, whatever it might be. You could create custom pages. You can also set the navigation. You can also do what's called site management. And then there's also a mobile version of your storefront. So you have a responsive version as well that looks a little bit different. So when it comes to the storefront, it's almost above and beyond what you do when we did the original setup. This is above and beyond that. So when we go back to One Shopping Cart and I look at my, if I look at anything in there, so let's just choose this one. Some of what you see here is actually related to my storefront. Could you see all the stuff down here? So this isn't just the shopping cart. This is really what my storefront's going to look like. Now I know it's kind of sloppy because this is a testing environment, but a lot of this stuff comes from that. And this whole thing right here, this is navigation, okay? And then you can see it says techiementor.com, blah, blah, blah. All of this is from the site template that you use for your store. Mary, the hosting is not additional. No, it is part of the plan. But remember, you have different subscriptions with One Shopping Cart, and not all of them will have a storefront. Like I have an older version of One Shopping Cart. I don't have a storefront, which is fine because I don't want one. So remember, every subscription level is a little different. And I have the middle of the range one here for the sandbox. So with that said, I'm going to click on store here. We're just going to take a quick look around. And like I said, we're going to go into this a lot more detail next week, but I wanted to at least get the conversation started. So I'm going to click on settings. And here's where I can set up a lot of great information. And we're going to come back and change this after we go through all the other options. But the biggest thing is here's your store URL. Notice it's a different URL because it's hosted by One Shopping Cart. And I can come in here and I can modify the URL. I can enter my own domain or I can purchase a custom domain, right? So I'll just hit modify and I'm just going to change. Oops. Oh, I have to save it. Hold on. Oh, and it says here MasterPass. You can ignore that. That's just another merchant profile. Sometimes you're going to see these in the sandbox. It's because they're trying to get you to sign up for a merchant account. You can just ignore that. So I went in and changed that. Now, again, I can enter a domain. So look, I can actually change it so it's techiementor.com/store. So now, even though it's kind of what is this called? It's I can't type Techiementor store. I could do that if I wanted. Okay, or I could purchase a custom domain, which is what, notice it redirected me to this page, so I correct that. So I could purchase that. So right now I'm just the store at Techiementor. And then the name of the store, right? Whether or not it's open or closed. Now if you choose close and you go to this URL, you'll get you'll get a redirect. It says this store isn't open, okay? And then you can choose what page is home page. Okay, and we're going to go through all these pages, but you can see there's so much to this. So I'm going to save this. Oh, go away. I don't care about my merchant account. And then here's where I can look at my master templates. So you can see that I have some additional master. I have one that's called Radiant, one called it Contemporary, and then this is one that I created. Now, if I just hit preview, here's an example of a store. Okay, now this is one of the ones that we created, but you can see here's my thing. So this just looks like a website, right? And here's all my categories. I can join an emailing list, and I have a menu down here at the bottom, and then I have my featured classes for the week. And then I can look at, did I look at Contemporary? Is that the one I just looked at? I can't remember. Oh, now here's a Contemporary one. These are pre-designed for you. I don't really like the colors, but you get the idea of what the storefront looks like. This one is really messy, as you can see. Doesn't have any menus. My menus are down here instead of what they would. But this is where you would come in and create templates. So that's the master template, which is the overall look and feel. Then you have individual page templates. You can have templates for payments, for products, for categories, and you can choose a template from right up here. You have 3 different types. Okay. And then you have custom pages, which would be your 404 about us. So you can come in here, like you can preview what your 404 page, which is an error message. Okay. Put text here. I need to put in there what this page no longer exists. So you can come in and edit these. So here's an about us page. So it's almost like a mini website, which is what your storefront acts like. Your navigation. So this is your menu. You have a header menu and a footer menu that you can change. You have your site manager. These are all the different URLs that you have. You can actually change the URLs to say different things. Like a lot of times they're a number, but you could change them to be something else. And then the last one here is your mobile. This is your mobile. What does your mobile store look like? It's going to be different because it's responsive. You also have templates. Now notice I don't have the ability to preview these. And then I also have navigation. So I also can have navigation in here as well. Okay, so that's just kind of a quick snippet of what we're going to look at next week when it comes to the store. The other thing we're going to be going through is the affiliates piece as well. All right? So your homework, what I'd like you to do is, set up an order discount, set up a product offer, go in and look around at the taxes and shipping. Feel free to do whatever you like in there as far as create new ones or edit any of the existing ones. And then just take a minute and look at the storefront options so you can get some familiarity with that before we get started next week. So what questions can I answer for you? Today we talked shipping and taxes, product offers, discounts. We also looked at the Bounce Manager. There's not much in the Bounce Manager, but you're welcome to look at that. And then we just did a real quick snippet of the storefront. Is anybody's head spinning? So much information. Not yet. Good, Mary. I'm glad it's not spinning yet. Anybody else? So did we learn something new today? Thank you, Lisa. And Tara, yes. Debbie, we are all overwhelmed too. I told you, one shopping cart has so much to it. That's why I say start small. Tara, I like the bundle packages. I've not ever used those, so I need to practice with that. They're really a cool idea, and I keep forgetting that they're in there. I need to use them too. Mary, I'm guessing we should set up shipping and taxes before any products if a clean start for the store. I always set the products up, and then I'd go back and do the shipping and taxes. That was just the way I did it, but you could do it either way. You just have to make sure that the products are attached to the correct shipping and taxes as appropriate. Yeah, I like that one too. Shipping and taxes part is not my cup of tea. I hated shipping and taxes, and luckily, like I said, I did very few of those. And you know what? You don't even have to do that. Or Tara, you could have that piece and you could hire somebody to do just those pieces. I did that sometimes. I hated the affiliate stuff. I mean, even though I could do it, I always would hand that off to somebody else. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I know how to do it. Don't want to do it. That's the beauty of your own business, right? You can give it to somebody else who maybe likes to do it. I didn't. Tara, shipping and taxes is a good reason why to get a hold of a client who already has a functioning cart. Exactly. But not even that time. Sometimes it's a nightmare because they didn't set it up right. Not to, add to your blues, but yeah. Great. Storefront it's not difficult. Again, just a lot of options. And the affiliate stuff is something that's really needed. It's another one. It's not hard. It's just they make it, I think, more difficult than it has to be. And I use it for my affiliate program. Tara, question. I've heard that people don't like the affiliate part. Have they tried to improve it over the years? Yeah, it is improved, but it's better than using, in my opinion, I didn't like ClickBank or any of those other tools, and then, WordPress has some plugins, but I'm like, no, then I needed to keep everything in one place. And so that's why I just bit the bullet and went with the affiliate and One Shopping Cart. Because once it's set up, it's not that difficult to use, but the setup to me is just, it's not intuitive. I like the setup in Infusionsoft better, which is called Referral Partners. Yeah, it's just much easier to keep it in. For me, I hate having 5 different things that do a little bit of everything I need. I'd much rather pay a lot of money for one thing that can do everything, right? Because it's just one tool that you have to learn and you have to keep on top of, or you have to keep your team on top of, right? As always, if you have any questions or you get stuck, give me a holler, help@techiementorlabs.com. Get in there, get your hands dirty. Feel free to play with whatever. You can delete things. That's just a sandbox. You can delete anything, change anything that you need to. Tara, question, do you think a lot of people still use the One Shopping Cart affiliate program? Yeah, the majority of my One Shopping Cart clients did. For the same reason. They didn't want to use ClickBank or any of those other ones. So yeah, I think probably 90% of my One Shopping Cart clients used affiliates as well because they were already using it. So that was just the next thing. So like for me, I was already using One Shopping Cart when I decided to start doing affiliates. It was just a no-brainer. Obviously, I had to pay more for it, but same thing. And when it comes to clients in One Shopping Cart, you've got higher end clients because it is a higher end program, which means it's going to cost them more, right? It's not like Aweber or MailChimp. Usually people who are using One Shopping Cart have been in business for a while. They're an established business, which means they're going to pay more and are willing to pay you more for that, right? So as always, thank you. I certainly appreciate your time. I can't believe that we've only got one more training session. That went by fast, didn't it? I think so. All right. I'm glad you find it helpful, Tara. You still can't get over the back thing. I know, it's those little things that save time. I know I had somebody take the course from me once and they learned this little thing right here. And this, to her, it was worth the class 100 times over. I'm just going to jump into one of these real quick just to show you. Of course, I picked one that doesn't have a message. But all she learned was, let me find one here. Here we go. Was when you did a hyperlink like this and you click on the chain link right here, that you could click on this little button right here to upload something. To her, that was gold. She didn't know that. She's like, oh my God, I've been, doing it the long way. I'm like, oh yeah. So, I mean, it's just those little things that you pick up. You didn't know that either? Yeah. Yeah, to her, she's like, oh my God, you know how long I was doing it the long way? I was going under setup. I'm like, no, you click on this and then you click on that and you go in and you figure out your folders. You go in here and you go, oh, download and you insert and then you open in a link and you're done. Voila, finished. No, there you go. I gave you another tip. I always went through, and so did she. Okay, well there, I'm glad I shared that with you too. Yeah, it's those little shortcuts that just save, even if they're short and sweet, but they still save a lot of time, don't they? Well, good. I'm glad I gave you something else to take away. Now you got 2. You got back and the link button. Delina, I wondered if you were there. I hadn't heard from you. I figured you were busy. Oh yeah, so I'm glad you're here. And the hamster car. I know every time I see that. In fact, I was driving down the street the other day and I saw one of those and I thought of you, Tara. Hamster car. That's what I see every time. And they have that new commercial now. They have an electric hamster car now. It's just crazy. It's still the hamsters. They've lost a lot of weight though. It's funny how they do that. The electric hamster. Yep. Thanks for the laugh. I appreciate it. All right, I will let you all go. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you back next week for Storefront and Affiliates. If you need me, you know where to find me. And happy fall, happy autumn, I guess you could say. This is my favorite time of year. You know what? Before we blink, before we know it, it'll be Christmas. Can you believe that? I can't. All right, see you guys.